Welcome to the podcast, guys, with Rob and Nando. We're going to get into a very important episode today. Very, very crucial. Happens a lot nowadays to many men. And that episode is, why do women play games? So before we get into that episode, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So help us out. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video with many that need to see this stuff. Like the video and comment below. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. Men, women out there. I know women will be upset with what we have to say, but aren't they all the time, right? Yep. So subscribe to the channel. Follow us. We are on Instagram at the podcast guys _, TikTok, the podcast guys _, and we are on the previous Twitter, the new X, the podcast guys 5. So what's your initial thoughts on why women play games before we get into some of the reasons here?
So just to kind of ease into this topic, right? There are going to be times where women will act very illogically. One moment everything's fine. She stops talking to you for a couple of days. You start talking again. She's angry one day, and they just do this weird stuff. And it kind of, there's going to be times you're like, well, why is this happening, right? Is this like, is she crazy or something? And most of the time what's happening is women are hardwired to test guys. They do it subconsciously. They do certain things that are completely illogical to us as guys, and we're going to talk about that today.
So before we get into some of the reasons here, there's guys that get really pissed by these games that women play, right?
Of course. Of course.
And it's so frustrating to the point that they don't know why they're playing games. And at times, women don't seem to know that they're playing games either at times. Sometimes they're doing it on purpose, but most of the time they don't realize that they're doing it, as you said, subconsciously. They don't realize sometimes that when they're playing these games, it's pushing a guy away.
Yep.
So what would one of the reasons be to play games with a guy?
So when women play games with guys, we're going to go through a list of possible reasons why she's playing games with you and the different kind of categories that these fall into, right? So one of the reasons that she may be playing games with you is to attract you or to attract the guy that's in front of her, right? And just to give you a couple examples of that, like an obvious one, right? Flirting, making eye contact, getting closer to you, like those are all like minor games that these are some of the lighter ones, but that's something that women do when they want to gain your interest, right?
Big time. And they actually become submissive, which guys want. Guys want women that are submissive, that they bring peace, kind of like she's just going along with what he wants in order to be able to get a relationship or date the guy, start out dating, whatever the case may be, in order to eventually attract them to a further relationship. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, this is like another way to look at it is like they're going to basically, in a way, kind of like tease you because they want to get that initial interest. That's what we're trying to say here. So when we say they're playing games to attract a guy, they're going to do certain things to get your interest.
Now, women tend to push buttons and, really, as I said before, piss off a guy. Why do they do that if they want to attract them? Why is it that they really are hardwired to really kind of be poking at the guy nonstop? And she likes the guy, but she's irritating him. Don't you think that would have a tendency to push a guy away?
Yes. And most of the time what's happening is she's subconsciously trying to test who you are as a man and how you're going to handle it. So, for example, right, she may say something purposely that she knows is going to piss you off. Now, why would she do that? That's illogical. Why would somebody do that? Like especially if she's trying to attract you, right? She's going to subconsciously try to piss you off or say something that gets on your nerves to see how are you going to react. Are you going to hold your ground? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to get emotional about it? Are you going to block her on Instagram because of it? So how you handle those little tests basically tells her subconsciously who you are as a person. And she's trying to test who you are.
Well, that's going to lead us into the second reason why women play games, and that's to test him.
Yes.
I think what you mentioned is testing his mental strength.
Yes.
Can a guy mentally handle the mind games that she's playing? Does he have the mental fortitude to stand tough against that and handle it to the point where it's like, okay, she's happy that he passed that test. They can move on. Maybe she'll accidentally test him again, but sometimes women do it on purpose. It's happened to me plenty of times before. It still happens to me, but I'm very straight when it comes to letting you know how I feel.
This one specifically, I think, in my opinion, is the most common one. Women will test you. They will test your nerves. Like you said, your kind of like mental strength, how you react to certain things. This one, I think, is by far the most common. And if you're aware of it and you pay attention to it, you will be able to pick up on it immediately. The moment she does something that's out of the blue that pisses you off or like makes you question like why is she doing that, chances are it's a test. So there's a variety of ways this can go down. She may say something to piss you off. She may ask you to go hold my purse. You may go out with her somewhere and she'll try to make you jealous. That's another one. They're going to try to make you jealous. Very common one. So these are all just games they play to test you.
Well, it's a good way to gain info on the other person, to know what they're all about. And if that's something that a woman doesn't like, then they're going to be turned off by it. They're not going to want to keep the dating going or a potential relationship going. Or even if, the games are played also a lot when that man and that woman maybe are not in a relationship and the man is trying to get to that point where they can have something materialize.
Oh yeah, they'll test you right from the get go. I mean, this can happen at any time. It could happen when you first meet her. It could happen on the first date. It could happen 3 months into it. It could happen while you're dating. Like women are like that's why we say it's like subconscious. I don't think most of the time they're even doing it strategically or on purpose. It's just something they naturally do.
Well, I think also a way women test men is the willingness of a man to invest in her. How much time he'll invest in her, how much money he'll invest in her. All those things are important to her because they're gonna see, well, is he gonna put a lot into me? Is he gonna give a shit about me enough?
Correct.
To make this relationship work.
Yeah. That's another one. Yep.
And it happens a lot. I mean, time. I say time is more valuable than money, and that's what people say. Time is worth more than money because you can always get money back, but you can't get time back. That's the thing that women tend to go for, and if they're able to get a lot of that from you, then they'll say, okay, well, I'm leading this guy. So it could be a turnoff for her.
Yeah.
And that kind of test can be a turnoff. So what's another reason why women play games? I was going to say mind games, but just games in general.
Another reason they will play games with you is to inflate her value. And I'll give you guys a couple examples of how she may do that. Playing hard to get. Making you wait, like, everybody's heard of like the 90-day rule where women will say like, oh, where I wait 90 days to sleep with a guy. What she's basically trying to do is she's trying to convey to you that like, I'm not that easy to sleep with. I'm not that girl that you're just gonna, I'm a very like, I have standards and I'm not a one night stand. So she's basically playing certain games with you to inflate your perception of her as something higher value.
So she pretty much has an ego. She's trying to inflate her ego, her self-worth to the guy to, I would say, make herself feel good based off of that.
Sometimes
off of her actions.
They will even, which is another illogical thing to do, but women do it, is they're going to pretend to be not interested. And that's another one that's just like, I guess that'll fall into the category of like playing hard to get. Women don't always make it so dead obvious that like they're interested in you, but they hang out with you and like it kind of gets you thinking like, is she into me or not? A lot of times when they play that game, it's them doing exactly that. Is they're trying to make them seem as they're not that easy to obtain.
Message to women out there: don't play this game because guys don't like it, and when they see that you are pretty much full of yourself, they're going to want to get away from that.
And this is one that's, as a guy, it's very easy to get confused by it or misread it.
Yeah, and I'll pause here for a second because the thing is that guys are dealing with women's BS games less and less and less nowadays. See, I don't think women see that. I think women think that playing games is going to take them further.
Correct.
It's going to take them into a relationship. It's going to get them everything that they want. It truly isn't. It truly isn't. You got to look in the mirror and realize that, how can I be a good woman to this guy, whether I'm not in a relationship, it's just interest, or especially while you're in a relationship, to go further. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to lock down this guy. A lot of women, which we advocate men not do, men don't get married. But a lot of women want to secure a guy for eventual marriage. Relationship first, then marriage. I want the ring. I want the kids. I want us to have a family. You know, at the end of the day, she's going to have an opportunity for a house, for a guy to take care of her, protect her. That's what women want. But if you're playing these games, the more and more games you play, the less and less nowadays a guy is going to tolerate it. It's happening.
You're absolutely right. I think nowadays in general, guys are kind of like fed up with dating to a certain extent. You have like the MGTOW movement, men going their own way. So now's the worst time ever in dating history for women to overcomplicate this whole process, because game playing, some of the things we covered are like not that bad, but like when you start to play these type of like mental gymnastics with guys can very easily misread it or just get fed up with it and be like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. So
most of the time, think about it. How are players created? Women play games. They screw around with guys. They mess with their mind. And then, it breaks off. Whether they're dating or in a relationship or whatever, or there's interest, guy's going to move on. And women may be like, hey, I'm good. I'm a boss babe. I'm okay with being single till I'm 50, 60 years old. I'll find a guy eventually. I have my standards. I have this shit and that shit together. But more and more now, I'm also seeing that women are unhappier as they get older. They are complaining.
When women say like, oh, I'm 50 and I don't need a man and I'm just fine by myself and I pay my own bills, in my opinion, that's just them coping. I think it's easier for them to say to themselves, like, I don't need a man. I got my degree and I have my dog and I'm my own place. I think that's just them coping with the reality that, like, they missed their opportunity. They didn't play their cards right. They were too picky, too uppity, and now they're single. And it's easier to just lie to themselves and say, I'm happy like this, than to admit to themselves, like, I screwed up royally. So,
of course. And women should, as much as guys should be watching this, women should be watching. You got two dudes here telling you that we don't like the games. And I can almost guarantee you that the majority of guys don't like the games. They won't. Very straightforward. Guys are simple. We're very straightforward. We're very transparent. We do not want to deal with the BS.
Yep.
We don't want to waste time. There's so much going on in today's world. There's so many things that we're busy with. Everybody. But guys are busy trying to make it, trying to live up to those standards that women want, to that list of requirements of what it takes to be with that specific woman. And if you can cut down on those standards and you cut the games out, you get a chance of securing a good man out there.
I hear like women complaining often about how, like, oh, men don't make their intentions known and they're not good communicators and they don't show emotion and all this stuff. In reality, a lot of that is caused by women playing games, right or wrong. Like when they play too many mental games with you, like you mentioned before, over time, guys eventually kind of change up their game a little bit, and then that's when you end up with guys that are players, that lie, that cheat, that like purposely say certain things to get their own way. It's because of stuff like this. So the less games, the better. We understand women are going to do certain things naturally, they can't control it, but like these like stupid games, like playing hard to get, 90-day rule, like if you're in high school or something, that's understandable. Like, but there's like adults, grown women that are 35, 40 years old that are still playing these like childish games. Guys, I think, don't have the patience for it anymore.
Of course. And I'll say it right now. We criticize guys, we criticize the women.
Yeah.
And we know that we personally here as a podcast, we don't have the following that we should have because people get pretty offended pretty easily. They can't hear to understand to be able to change their lives to the better based on the advice that we're giving, the recommendations that we're giving, the experience that we have and what we've studied and looked into dealing with female nature and guys growing, getting their money up, working on their fitness, etc. They just can't handle it, and that's why people get offended pretty easily by what we're saying. But what we're saying is pretty fair, and we're not saying it in any bad form or type of way where it should be like, oh, well, I'm offended by what these guys are saying. Even though we're right. Not always 100%. Nobody is. But most of the time we're saying most things that are factual. We're going off of sources, stats, and studies.
Yeah.
And experience as well. And what we see, what we observe. You learn a lot by seeing other people make their mistakes and their mess ups. So, you could take what we say as you wish, but again, women playing games, I'll say it right now, they create the players.
Yeah.
Women, you are making guys players.
Yep. They're turning, how they always say toxic masculinity? If there is such thing as toxic masculinity, it is something that is literally created and bred, cultivated by women.
How dare you?
It really is.
Tell me when I'm telling lies. That's a quote from one of my favorites, CM Punk, WWE. Don't watch much of it anymore, but CM Punk, shout out to you. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Tell us when we're telling lies. You're creating the players. Don't get me wrong. I get it. There's some guys out there that, very few consider that are maybe not too great, right? That they do things on their own. They cheat. I'm addressing that right now. We get that. But most of the time, women are causing the issues. Women are causing men to act the way they act.
Yeah.
Because you're playing these games. You don't think a guy's going to go crazy based on what's happened?
Check this out. We always talk about how less and less men want to get married. Where did that come from? From women, 70% of them getting divorced. Women have literally created that genre of men that no longer want to that don't even want to consider getting married or like really considering just like forgetting that whole idea. Why? Because of their actions. Because they're the ones getting divorced. They're the ones that are showing other men that are still single, like, marriage isn't looking too good. They're taking these guys for a run. They're divorcing them. They're putting them in a really tough financial situation because of it. So, women, like you said, they you kind of teach. Men always have to adapt to women. That's just how it goes. So if women are going to be toxic, you're going to create a whole breed of toxic men.
Let's talk about passport bros for a second. Guys are looking outside the country, and even around the world, it's not even that fantastic, for men to, get their passports and go and try to find a woman in another country, but they're doing it because there are some guys that are just saying, hey, I'm done here, and I'm walking out, and I'm going in another direction to try to find a genuine connection, a genuine relationship with a woman.
Exactly.
With a woman that's serious, it's not going to screw with the guy's mind.
It's funny how that works, right? Women always avoid the accountability at the end of the day. Women will criticize guys that are going to other countries to find women, when in reality, it's out of purely good intention. Like you said, they're looking for regular, healthy relationship, somebody to be happy with, and they're leaving this country and looking elsewhere because the women here are just not it anymore.
Tell us when we're telling lies. Tell us when we're telling lies. Do you understand that you create the issues, as many women out there do? Again, I'll be on the other side as well. There are women out there that they don't screw around like that. They don't play those kind of games. They're direct.
Yeah.
That's appreciated. From a guy's standpoint, men out there are simple and they're straightforward. Straightforward communication is very important among individuals that want to create a future together.
Without a doubt.
And guys are getting fooled, unfortunately. I know it's not too great sounding, but guys are getting fooled into marriage. You're setting yourself up with a problem in the future, and then you're coming back and saying, "Oh well, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. I shouldn't have done it," and guys still do it. So that's why we say watch out, because again, things can be going great, but an easy 180 can be done in a relationships. We see it every day.
In order for men to change their mind, their viewpoint on marriage, it's all in the woman's hands. It really is. I mean, if women start showing that they can actually make marriage last and they're not hopping from guy to guy, and like, we talk about hypergamy all the time, if they start to show that they can make these marriages last and not turn these poor guys' lives upside down, maybe we'll eventually change our mind. But as of right now, I see absolutely zero benefit in getting married.
It's incredible that women have this superpower, which you guys should take as women should take as a compliment. This superpower of being that rock, as they say, for that guy.
That's exactly right.
And you can make that guy's life incredible. And he, in return, will make your life incredible as well. Guys get that their standards, and there's guys out there that are working hard to live up to those standards. So the guys get it. The guys that don't get it, they won't get the woman that maybe they don't care about getting that, the best,
best possible choice.
Beautiful women out there, and things, because when it comes down to it, women, for the most part, want beautiful women that bring peace. They're submissive, and that are willing to be that partner, be that rock. But there's guys out there that are doing it, and they're trying. Women have to understand that they have to stop playing the games to be able to get somewhere, and they also have to give the guy a chance. But you have to let him know straight up. Don't just play these games and, stalk his Instagram or, do silly comments or play silly mind games. If you like the guy, let him know.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, even for myself in the past, I'm sure there's some girls that I'm not sure. I know that there's some girls that have messed up where they could have had a chance. I know what I bring to the table in all aspects of, the standards that women expect. And they lost that opportunity.
Women will take advantage of good guys, get ran through by bad guys, and then they end up in this toxic cycle where they're back to being single. And then later, when it's too late, they look back and go, damn, I should have been with the original guy.
Yeah, they end up at 45, 50, 55 years old wondering, oh, well, why can't I get a good guy? And then they're crying and all this stuff. And we don't want to see that. We want to see both men and women be happy. We think women are great. There's no hate towards women. Of course, there's people that are going to be up in arms about what we're saying. Both men and women. But mostly women will not follow along, with our page and what we have to say, because they get offended pretty easily, which is crazy to me, because with the results that women are getting, they should follow a page and support a page like ours, where we're telling them what guys are looking for and giving them the tools to be successful in a relationship in the future. You listen to podcasts like ourselves, like other podcasts that are purely telling you what you have to do. We're giving you the blueprint. We're giving you all the plans. We're like architects here. We're giving you all the plans. We're drawing it out for you nice and neat, so you understand what it takes to hold on to a guy, lock him down. You want a guy to give you the world, you want him to be your world, then you got to cut the games out.
And like you said before, it's actually very simple to do. I mean, nowadays, especially with how many guys are like willing to do backflips for women, it's entirely in their hands. They can, if they want a guy of a certain caliber, they can very easily have him, but they need to, it's give or take, as they say. Women need to like understand that they need to bring certain things to satisfy the guy. Otherwise it'll never work. And
women, again, need to be direct, because another reason why women what games women play is they're not direct. There's all this nonverbal communication. There's all this, well, he should know what message I'm trying to send him by the way I act. How can guys read? We didn't take a class on reading women and their nonverbal cues.
Correct.
That's silly. Be straight up. You have a mouth to talk. The other guy has ears. As long as that's in play, let him know how you feel. Because women are all about their feelings too. They're emotional creatures. We get that. Talk about it. And guys will know which way to go. We'll know as men how you want this relationship to go so they can make it work. Because again, guys aren't the one trying to break relationships or marriages up. Most of them are initiated by women.
Yes.
Okay, you can't focus on the exception to the rule, which is okay. There's some guys that screw up, that they cheat, that they're not good. That aside, we're talking about the majority of men that are purely trying to look for something good.
What happens in these marriages? Let's be real. A majority of the time, these women stop giving a shit. They get fat. They give their husband attitude. They don't even sleep with him anymore.
How dare you?
You know what I mean? He gets a piece of the pie once a year on their anniversary. He turns into the person that she no longer is attracted to, and they get divorced. Again, like we said it earlier in this episode, a lot of the times it's in the woman's hands. They screw it up.
Exactly. Women out there, when you're fine and you're not fine, don't say that you're fine. Let him know that you're not fine. When you say go do what you want, you don't really want that guy to go do what he wants. Tell him why you're upset. Tell him, why you don't want him to go and do what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to go out, with the boys one night. You don't want him to go. Don't be like, oh, go ahead. I'm fine with it when you're really not. Be straight up. So those are the things that we're talking about here.
Yeah, so we're pretty much just about out of time. So I hope we were able to shed some light on why women play games. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys watching the video. We'll catch you on the next one.
Road to 1,000. We'll catch you next time. Peace.